welcome to another installment of the Fragments of Silicon Reviews. 2 reviews up this week. The first of which is Mekabolt. Yeah, and it's Mekabolt, not Mekavolt or anything like that. Let's see. So this is actually a fairly, maybe not unique, but this is only like our second, I think, multi-platform review. That is,
technically, we just did Monster Boy in the Cursed Kingdom, and that was by virtue of I already owned it. But yeah.
I mean, like, formal kind of. We got different codes for different systems for this particular game. It's not. We've had other instances of, I own this game, maybe not on this platform, but I own it. So that's not the same thing.
Right.
Because in this case, we were specifically given a PC code, and we were given a Switch code. I played the PC version. Galix, of course, was on the Switch version. As far as any sort of differences or, it's the same game. Like, I'm pretty sure you can see from the trailer footage that this is a pretty simple 2D platformer.
Well, platform shooty puzzle thing.
Yeah, it's a puzzle platformer, but in terms of game construction and genre and all that, it's a pretty simple affair compared to other stuff we've covered. The point of the matter is, in terms of like technology and feature set and all that stuff, it's the same game. It's going to be running at the same speed and all that stuff. Any limitations are inherent with like the Nintendo Switch. Like, that being said, what is Mekabolt outside of the genre? Well,
the thing that you're shooting things with.
Yeah, that is the actual Mekabolt, because your character is a theme park technician that is dealing with her worst day at the job because all of the robots have gone haywire. So what you need to do is you need to collect about, I think it's about 100 batteries.
Sounds about right.
And what you do is you go through each of the stages, and at the end of the stage is a battery. And that's, that is the core of the game. But, the added twist is getting to the battery. This
dealing
game
with various cutely designed robots.
Yes. And this is also, if you're looking for something non-violent, this is a game for you, because even though you shoot the robots, this is just a beam of, like, deactivation or whatever. Like, you're not destroying the robots. The worst is you are incapacitating these machines. So,
yeah, and first off, you're the only living thing in the entire freaking game, and then second off, you don't even destroy the robots.
Yeah. So,
which is important because these robots are co-workers, even if they're currently evil.
Yeah, or at the very least, they're company property, and I don't think the theme park would look kindly at their merchandise being destroyed.
Right.
It's like, the point is, it would be bad to smash the robots. So, what you do is you turn the robots into platforms, basically.
Yeah, pretty much every robot has a square head that you can walk on.
Yeah, and that platforming differs. Like, you got your standard. You will jump an extra head, I'd say, like the yellow ones that just walk about.
Mm-hmm.
Versus, say, like the blue ones, which they're your flying platforms.
Yeah, there are hoverjet platforms. There are bats that fly in programmed paths.
Yeah.
There are springboard duties. There are a few kinds that, I think you still can stand on them, but they mostly the thing they do is shoot darts.
Something like that.
And the darts are usable as platforms.
Yes. And there are 4 worlds. Each world will introduce a new element. Not it's like the arrow firing robots. I think they're in the 3rd world, or is it the 4th?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think they're mostly in the first world, actually.
It's
Whatever.
like
The bats are in the caves.
Yeah, there's a bit of variance. Like the second world is a desert world, so cactuses or cacti show up, and some of it you can shoot. In fact, you get an achievement for it called "Why was this built?" Like,
yeah, there's a cactus robot that you have to shoot to make a platform temporarily.
Yeah.
But then the spikes come back out, which seems like it's probably not super safe.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this game might have. Sounds like this game has some effort put into the achievement names, which is always slightly unfortunate for the Switch version.
Yes.
That's the play style of this game suits the Switch well. So.
Yeah, I'd say honestly, I'd go with the Switch version on this because the levels are super short.
Mm-hmm.
It's another one of those games where you're not going to be spending more than a couple minutes, even your first go around, because the puzzles are pretty easy to solve. These aren't puzzles in the sense of brain teasers. These are more puzzles in the sense of obstacles.
Yeah, the puzzles are always of execution. You pretty much can always tell what you need to do.
Mm-hmm. And even if you mess up, it's not going to take you more than a few tries to get through each level. I blazed through this game, all of the levels, between an hour and a half. I think 77 minutes was my time.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's not a game that's really going to last you all that long. And for that reason, I would say the Switch version is recommended. But outside of that, the game itself, honestly, it's fairly average. Just it doesn't really do anything wrong, but I can't say it really excels anywhere either. In fact, I'd maybe dip just a smidge below average because of the stiff mechanics.
Yeah, the jumping is pretty stiff. The shooting is pretty stiff in terms of how fast you can shoot and also how far stuff goes.
Yeah, that can be an element of frustration.
Mm-hmm. This game has very few of the grace frames you get for jumping after a walking off a ledge or something, which because of the way this game is, you'll be walking off a lot of ledges.
Mm-hmm. That being said, there's not really a penalty for dying. There's not even a counter.
Yes, you restart the very short stage. That's about it.
So it's all fine. The graphics, they're hand-drawn. They're a hand-drawn pixel art affair. I'm not really sure if they're trying to invoke a retro feel. Mainly because
it's certainly not any particular kind of retro. The sprites, there's too much idle animation and stuff for NES level. Although the robots look a little bit Mega Man-ish sometimes.
Yeah, the closest is, I'd say, Mega Man, 8-bit Mega Man, but interpreted as on the Super NES with the color palette.
So the Wily Wars.
Something like that. But like I said, I don't think this game is really invoking any sort of actual nostalgic feeling. It just, it's just going with the retro art style because it's probably, a very simple one. But we can speculate. The music, likewise, is very, retro-ish without actually invoking any specific era. The soundtrack is fair.
It's beep boopy, but it's not like any particular kind of beep boopy.
I'm sure those are the technical terms for that.
You'd be surprised.
Right, but yeah, it sounds like video game music from the 16-bit era, but not.
It's good music for platforming by.
I mean, that is to say, each different platforms have different sound fonts and different soundscapes. When you hear a Genesis track, it was made from the Genesis because of the specific sound card it had.
Right.
that Genesis twang, for example. Now,
Whereas as opposed to the Super Nintendo's really weird sample-based sound font system.
yes. But once again, this game isn't really invoking any of that. It's
Right.
just, it's just, I guess, modern bleep bloopy music, as you put it. Let's see, the price. Well, if I'm remembering correctly, this game is the same price. Yeah, it is the same price on all platforms. Like last time we had this kind of thing. Well, actually, maybe not last time, but one of the times beforehand, there was this weird price disparity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this. I believe this is $5 everywhere. So.
Yeah, it's $5. It's a fair price for the game. Once again, I can't particularly recommend it, just because I found it to be a little too short and simple. But $5. You're not really wasting all that much in terms of money if you do buy it. And once again, this is a game you probably would be best playing on the Switch, since its level design is, once again, really attuned to a portable experience.
Yeah, all you'd be missing out on the Switch is funny achievement names, which, I mean, or the ability to score achievement points, which if that's what you're playing for, then I mean, go for it.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, overall, I'd say, once again, it's a average game, though do note it is a bit on the stiff side. So, with that in mind, that'll about do it for Mekabolt here. Be sure to tune in after the break, as we will be talking about Winds of Change.